So good day everyone. I am Trisha Getubig of OBTEC 1-4 and I am going to discuss the development of learners at various stages. So first, we are going to determine our objectives to be able to make sure that we can properly tackle these things and to be able to answer these things at the end of the report. So first, we have to define social emotional development and discuss its importance for development and learning. Second, explain the role of parents, adults, and primary caregivers in social emotional development of children. So we will start in social emotional development. So what is social emotional development? So it is the development of the ability to form a secure relationships, identify, experience, regulate emotions, explore the environment, and learn. So it is clearly stated in the definition that it is the development that is primarily affected by environment, relationships, and emotions. So furthermore, growing social and emotional skills is developmental. Yes, because as children develop, so do their social and emotional skills. Like, for example, young children are just learning to see themselves as individuals. So they are developing the understanding that they can have their own thoughts and feelings and that someone else can have different thoughts and feelings too. Next is social and emotional skills can be taught and practiced in everyday real life situations. Yes, because children learns more on people close to them and to the people who likely most influence them every day, like for example, peers, families, and other close friends. Next is social and emotional skills are often learned through modeling. So as children watch their parents or those in parenting role practice and model awareness and self-management skills or express empathy. As a parent or someone in parenting role, you can model these skills not only for your children but also for coworkers and other family members. So according to Castle, social and emotional development consists of the following five core components. So first is self-awareness. So it is the ability to accurately recognize one's emotion and thoughts and their influence on behavior. So this includes accurately assessing one's strengths and limitations and possessing a well-grounded sense of confidence and optimism. So this simply talks about how aware we are of our own thoughts, and it is followed by questions like, what are my own thoughts and feelings? What causes those thoughts and feelings? Like, how can I express my thoughts and feelings respectfully? So second is self-management. So self-management is the ability to regulate one's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors effectively in different situations. So this includes managing stress, controlling impulses, motivating oneself, and setting and working towards achieving personal and academic goals. So not everyone has a good self-management. Most of the people, not only of how good they decide for themselves, are well managed, but some who cannot manage to themselves and emotions are more likely to be suicidal. So examples of questions of someone who has good self-management may ask, what different responses can I have to an event? And how can I respond to an event as constructively as possible? Means almost a perfect person who has self-management. He knows everything about himself and he doesn't act according to his will, but he acts according to what he thinks is correct by weighing things. So third is social awareness. So social awareness is the ability to take the perspective of and empathize with others from diverse backgrounds and cultures, to understand social and ethical norms for behavior, and to recognize family, school, and community resources and support. So not everyone has a social awareness and ended up being rude to some people just because they have different perspectives. That's why it should be properly taught to everyone that the world is diverse. So examples of question someone who has good social awareness may ask, how can I better understand other people's thoughts and feelings? And how can I better understand why people feel and think the way they do? So the fourth one is the relationship skills. So, relationship skills are the ability to establish and maintain healthy and rewarding relationships with diverse individuals and groups. So, this includes communicating clearly, listening actively, cooperating, resisting inappropriate social pressure, negotiating conflict constructively, and seeking and offering help when needed. So, having relationship skills in the same as living in peace, because these skills establish healthy relationship among people. Like for example, people with good relationship skills may ask, how can I adjust my actions so that my interactions with different people turn out well? And how can I communicate my expectation to other people? Or how can I communicate with other people to understand and manage their expectations of me? And lastly, responsible decision making. So, responsible decision making is the ability to make constructive and respectful choices about personal behavior and social interaction based on consideration of ethical standards, safety concerns, social norms, and realistic evaluation of consequences of various actions and the well-being of self and others. So, being responsible in making decision is thinking forward of the consequences. Like for example of questions, someone who is a responsible decision maker may ask, what consequences will my action have on myself and others, and how my choices align with my values, and how can I solve problems effectively? So not all people are responsible in decision making, and that's one of the key points where we have to um, improve ourselves, because we might make decisions that can cause us trouble in the future. So, proceeding, social emotional development covers two important concepts of development, including the development of self or temperament and relationship to others or attachment. So, temperament is an innate attribute that defines the child's approach to the world and his interaction with the environment across 9 dimensions. So, researchers have categorized young children's temperament into three broad temperamental categories. So, first is easy and flexible. So, this category includes children who are friendly and easygoing. They comply with routines such as sleep and meal times, adapt to changes, and have a calm disposition. So second one is the active or feisty. So children who are fussy, do not follow routines, and have irregular feeding and sleeping schedules, are apprehensive of the new environment and new people. They also have intense reactions and gets easily upset. Uh, Third is slow to warm up or cautious. So children who may be less engaged or active, they have a shy disposition to a new situation and new people. They may withdraw or have a negative reaction, and they become more comfortable and warmer up with repeated exposure to the new environment or the person. So we cannot really compare your children to other children, because they have basically different temperaments. Like for example, my baby cousin, he is very different among other kids on our place because he is very active, and he is very bully. Like if someone bullies him back, he gets upset. And I think he is on the second temperament, which is active and feisty. However, some children are mostly shy because they have less exposure among the environment. And attachment is regarded as a pivotal event in a person's emotional development. It lays the foundation of a child's security and harbors self-esteem, and builds emotional regulations and self-control skills. So this page consists the milestone of a newborn up until before adolescent stage. So as obviously, At the baby age, they obviously develop not only physical and emotionally, but they also develop their likes and dislikes, of course, because as a person grows, their likes and attachments also changes. Like for example, in the first picture, it is I guess 1 year old, newborn to 1 year old, so they have different stage, and this stage they have different likes. The second picture is, I guess this is 2 to 3 years old, so it is completely different from the first picture because they have acquired new hobbies up until the next picture, next picture, next picture, next picture, up until they are an adult. So they changes. This is the milestone of a newborn baby. So next we are on social and emotional development in adolescence. So adolescence is a period of personal and social identity formation in which different roles and behaviors and ideologies are explored. So in Erickson's view, an adolescent's main questions are who I am and who I want to be. So adolescents tend to be rather egocentric. They often experience a self-conscious desire to feel important in peer groups and receive social acceptance. And so there are three approaches to understanding identity development. This includes self-concept, sense of identity, and self-esteem. So first is self-concept. So this leads to a greater awareness of others as well as one's own thoughts and judgments. So they can basically conceptualize multiple possible selves that they could become, and recognizes, distinguishes the contextual factors that influence their own behavior and perception of others. So they know themselves. So next is the sense of identity. So identity represents a coherent sense of self that is stable across circumstances and includes past experiences and future goals. So this resolves the identity crisis in which adolescents must explore different possibilities and integrate different parts of themselves before committing into their chosen identity. So next is self-esteem. So consists of one's thoughts and feelings about one's self-concept and identity. High self-esteem is often derived from their ability to successfully influence their friends. So high self-esteem is often derived from their ability to successfully influence their friends. So in America, this is mostly known in America that girls rather um, consider themselves to have a high self-esteem if they have more group of friends because they rather influence their friends, and that's for the girls. And for men, they accept themselves that they have higher self-esteem in terms of independence. So next is social-emotional development in adulthood. So let us talk about the relationship in adulthood. Relationship in adulthood. So it is simply as a person can identify themselves through relationships. So as years pass by, we have more relationship with people, like having a family. It is where we determine who truly are as an adult. So next is crisis of adulthood. So it is often revolves around the challenges that arise from young adults, like newly living life in their own and feeling overwhelmed with the new responsibilities, include problems with work, trouble in marriage, children growing up and leaving the home, or aging or death of a person's parents. So there are a lot of crises in adulthood that a person didn't had when he or she is still a teen or in adolescent stage. So next is finding meaning through work. So many adults find meaning in and define themselves by what they do or their careers. So in Erickson's stage of gener generavi I mean generavi generavity versus stagnation, it revolves around a person's sense of their contribution to the world. So next is the interpersonal relationship in adulthood. So interpersonal relationships are dynamic systems that change continuously during their existence, like living organisms, relationship having beginning, a lifespan, and an end. So one of the most influential models of relationship develops was proposed by a psychologist, George Levenger. So according to the model, the natural development of a relationship follows a 5 stages. So first is acquaintance. So it is where identifying mutual interest. Second is build up, like determining compatibility. Third is continuation, like making a show of commitment, like, and number four is deterioration, like breakdown in communication, and fifth is termination or relationship ends. So this is basically a relationship model, like finding acquaintance, getting to know each other, and having a relationship like continuation, and breaking up, heartbroken, like having problems, and then the relationship breakup, walang forever. So let's proceed to Knapp's theory of relational development. So another theory developed by M.L. Knapp is known as the model of relational development. So this theory consists of two main stages, which with several parts. The first stage is known as the coming together phase, and the second stage is known as the coming apart phase. So first, the initiating. So the first impressions are made. So this is where the first impressions are made. So physical factors may play a large role in this phase. So this phase tends to be superficial as people trying to make a good first impressions. So second is the experimenting. So the two people attempt to find some common grounds between each other's lives, such as common interests and hobbies. Like this is commonly happens towards people who have mutual interests. Then third is intensifying. So people open themselves of fully in hope of being accepted by the potential mate. So during this phase, people may reveal secrets about themselves or others in order to test the trust levels of potential partners. So next is integrating. So this involves people merging their lives together and solidifying a relationship status, like being in a relationship, girlfriend and boyfriend. Then lastly is bonding. So people recognize commitments to one another traditionally through marriage or through alternatives, and the relationship lasts until death, breakup, or divorce. So next will be the coming apart. So the first phase in coming apart is differentiating. So this involves focusing more on differences rather than similarities. Then next is the circumscribing. So they primarily focus on relationship shifts before from difference to setting limits and boundaries and communication between the two people. So this usually happens between couples or married couples that wag kang makialam sa mga bagay na ito dahil buhay ko to, something like those. And next is stagnating. So, of course, when people engage in limited communications and take steps to distance themselves from one another. Yes, something like that. Then, avoiding. So, when people have reached a standoff phase, nothing changes and they're partly willing to change. And then the lastly is the terminating. So, the relationship is ended. Walang forever. So, actually, between the NAPS theory of relational development and that other one, this is kind of detailed but very long. However, the other one is very much concise. So proceeding to why social and emotional skills are essential. So social and emotional skills are developed through relationships, interactions, and ongoing social situations. As a parent or someone in parenting role, there are many ways that you can support your child's social and emotional skills development and ultimately improve their mental, emotional, and behavioral health. Some ways include building awareness. So this means noticing when your child is doing something right and letting them know that you noticed, like having them praised or something like that. It will make your children happy. Next is model the skills. So this doesn't mean that when your child makes mistake, then you will correct them to make them perfect. You should model them in the right way, but without putting a lot of pressure to them. So that's the right thing about modeling. So next is focus on decision making. So improve social and emotional skills develop healthier decision making. Therefore, it is helpful for you to focus on how your child makes decision. Like for example, for young children, find opportunities to support their decision making by giving them choices. Like for example, do you want banana or apple? Then you will teach them which choices is correct. And if they make the correct choices, then praise them and tell them that you make right choices. So next is practice. So we must know that social and emotional skills do not always come easily. So in high stress situation, it is tough to maintain self-awareness to express empathy. So, therefore, it is very important that social and emotional skills are practiced every day. The more these skills are practiced, the more natural they feel, and the greater the likelihood they will be used in high stress situations. It means that you are preparing your children to be more skilled in managing their emotional and social skills. So, as significant adults, what else can you do to help a child's social and emotional development? So, first, be a model of emotions and behaviors you want your child to show because you are your child's first teacher and they look up to you as a role model. So, at home, you're, you must be the model of your children because what your children sees is what they follow. Second is be responsive. Be responsive to your child's emotions and behavior. Responding will help them develop trust between you and your child. Yes, that is true because trust these days is very hard to acquire. So, as a parent, you must be responsive towards your children. So, next is ask open ended questions such as what will you do to help develop problem solving skills? Because when they are young, it is much very important that you will the problem solving skills that they have is developed since they are child. I mean, they should be developed since they are younger because it will make them it will be easier for them in the future. Next is use stories to talk to your child about different social situations and how each person might be feeling. Like for example, look at that man. He is sad because someone stole his food. Those stories will make your child realize that stealing is not good because it will make other person sad. Then encourage your kids to try new things and learn how much they can do, like giving them tasks the that you think that they can, but if they can't do, then that's your chance to develop their skills. Then next is play games to teach kids how to take turns, win and lose, share and negotiate because the more you teach your children how to properly play a game, it will develop their sportsmanship. Then ask your child questions when they are upset. These questions can be about why they are upset or offering alternatives to understand the root of their unhappiness. For example, why do you like would you like to brush your teeth or take a bath first? In that way, you will know that what your children want instead of having a tantrum. So I think that's all. Thank you. I hope you have learned something.